Hey everybody, welcome back. Ninja Kitchen has a really popular line of ice cream machines called the Ninja Creami. The machines have been around for just about 5 years, but the real problem is that you can still buy most of the different models. Today we're going to go through all the different models, their features, and hopefully that'll give you all the information you need to get the right one. So you ready? Let's get into this. Just a quick note, my reviews are based upon the things that I think are important. That might be a little bit different for you, so what I recommend doing is after watching my video, you watch a couple of other videos made by different content creators. That way you get a wider range of likes and dislikes and testing criteria. That in turn should help you make a more informed buying decision, and that is the most important thing of all. Alright, here is the entire Ninja Creami lineup. We're actually missing 2 Creamis, but I'll explain to you in just a moment as to why those aren't here. What we have here is the 301, the 501, the Creami Breeze, and over here is the newest one, the Creami Swirl. Like I said before, we're missing 2 models, and one of those is a variation of this machine. This is the Ninja Creami 301, and it's a 7-in-1 machine. The other version of it is an identical machine, except it's a 5-in-1. This features a 2-cup ice cream capacity, and the presets on it are for ice cream, sorbet, light ice cream, smoothie bowls, gelato, and milkshakes. I believe the 5-in-1 leaves out the milkshakes and the smoothie bowls, but I could be wrong about that. The next machine to come out was the 500 series, and on this they increased the capacity of the machine to 3 cups, which is actually my favorite feature about this. In addition to that, they added an option to process just the top half or bottom half of your ice cream. So that meant that you don't have to process your entire cup all at once if you don't want to eat the whole thing. The machine is divided up amongst scoopable programs and drinkable programs. So on the scoop side, you can do ice cream, light ice cream, sorbet, gelato, and frozen yogurt. And on the drinkable side, you can do creamiccinos, other kinds of frozen drinks, slushies, milkshakes, and Italian ice. I've always taken frozen drink as being alcoholic frozen drinks, but it's got a little bit of versatility there too. The next machine was the short-lived Ninja Creami Breeze. This one also has 2 different versions. This one's the 401, and the other version of it was the 400, and it came in more of a silver color. This one's a 7-in-1 machine and has identical options to the 301 right over there. The 400 came out right after, and I believe that was only a 4-in-1 machine. On these machines, one of the things I really hated was that the capacity went back down to a 2-cup max. This machine's got a pretty crazy history, and we'll come right back to that in just a couple minutes. Finally, we have the all-new Ninja Creami Swirl. This machine looks quite a bit different than the other ones. Basically, you have a traditional Ninja Creami on this side, which is someplace between the 300 and 500 series, and you also have a whole separate section over here that's used to take your scoop ice cream and turn it into soft serve ice cream using this little slot machine handle right here. The capacity on this one is also 2 cups, so if you're keeping score, the only one that does more than a 2-cup capacity is the Ninja Creami 501, which is also known as the Ninja Creami Deluxe. On this machine, you can see that there's a whole bunch of different options. If you're making scoop ice cream, then you have options for regular scoop ice cream, protein ice cream, light ice cream, milkshakes, sorbets, and gelato. If you're making soft serve, you have the option for light ice cream again, the Creami Fit again, regular soft serve, frozen yogurt, fruit whips, and frozen custard. So technically it's a lot of programs, but realistically it's only 6 programs for scoop and 6 programs for soft serve. All of the machines have an extra button called mix in that you would use if you're going to mix something in like chocolate chips or little bits of crackers or anything like that. And that would account for one of the programs. So the Breeze right here, for instance, being a 7-in-1 means that you got 6 regular programs plus the mix-in program. The Deluxe right there would be an 11-in-1. The 301 over there, like we said before, is a 7-in-1. And I guess this one, if you want to be super technical, you could call it a 13-in-1. But honestly, there's an awful lot of overlap there, so I'm not sure I'd want to call it that. Okay, really quickly, we'll go through the design differences on these because they're really not all that different. The main differences between these machines are mostly physical differences and how the mechanisms work. The quality of the ice cream on all these machines is almost exactly the same. I'll show you how the 300 series works. Okay, right here you have your pitcher, and this is comprised of 4 parts. First, you have your outer lid for your bowl right here. And then you have your Creami pint container. This is where your ice cream mix actually goes. And then you have your outer bowl. Basically the way this works is you take this, you take your pint after you've frozen your ice cream mix. That goes right in there like that. And then this lid goes on top. Underneath here you can see the Creami paddle. This is actually just parked in this lid right here. Let's lock that on really quick. What happens is this spindle right here comes down, attaches to that paddle, and spins that up and down through your Creami pint. That's how it processes the ice cream. This machine has the original design, so the way that this pint sits on the base here is a little bit clunky. This just sits here, it's got some cutouts, and you gotta kind of roll this around until it fits on there properly. And once it does, you twist it to the right until everything locks in, and you can see that platform comes up. Once you hear that click, it's locked in and your thing is ready to process. If you want to release this, you just push this button on the side, it lets go, and you can pull this back out. One thing to note that is when you take it out, you can't just pull it out, you have to lift it up and then pull it out. And that's just because you got a little bit of a lip right here and a lip underneath here. So that's just something you got to be a little bit careful with. Not really that big a deal, and it was the original design on this machine. And for me, I never really had any problems with it, but I did see quite a few people complain that these lids got broken. Moving over to the Ninja Creami Deluxe, at first sight, everything looks about the same, but it really isn't. We still have that same button to release the pitcher, which I'll do right now. Push that button and release this. But the way this whole pitcher comes out is that it just slides back out of it like this. You can see that this is slotted here on the sides. That's designed so this only goes in one way. It has to slot in, and once it does, then it's locked into place. This is a lot more secure type of connection. And then you just lock this in the exact same way. If I take this off again and we pop off the lid, you can see that this lid is designed almost exactly the same as the first one, except everything's a little bit bigger. You got a little bit bigger lid, you got a little bit bigger paddle. The paddle's parked in here the same way. You've got your Creami pint right here, and you have your outer bowl. But you can see that all of this stuff just looks a tiny bit more refined. It's a little bit more solid construction here on the outer pitcher. And the best part is that these pints are 1 cup larger. You can see some extra markings on this because this machine has some drinkable options and some scoopable options. So you got some different fill to lines that are associated with those two different types of things. Again, once you have your mix in here and it's been frozen, you can put that back in here. This goes back on the top, locks in the exact same way it does on the previous machine, but then this slides in that way and locks into place. The next machine that came out was the Ninja Creami Breeze. This was a big departure from the other machines in the way that it works. The quality of the ice cream and the way it's processed is exactly the same as the other machines, but the entire locking mechanism is totally different. Gone is that whole outer pitcher, and all you got here is your actual Creami pint locked straight up into the machine. So if I unlock this and take this out, you can see I've got my 2 cup Creami pint right here, and this lid just sort of twists on. Inside the lid, again, we got that same paddle parked in here the exact same way it was before, except this just screws right onto the top here, and we eliminate an entire piece. When we wanted to use this, it just slides up into the bottom of the machine and clicks in with a twist. Seems like it's pretty secure, and it should stay in there until you push this button to release it again. Now, the Ninja Creami Breeze had some major issues. This entire line of Ninja Creamis got recalled and discontinued. And there were a lot of different reasons for that. Some were admitted to by Ninja Kitchen, and some were additional complaints that people had online that never really seemed to have a real conclusion. And what Ninja has said about what that problem was, that something about the mechanical design was straining the motor. That would lead people to say that the motor was just burning out, but I saw multiple people online complaining about actual fires. What? Another thing that was complained about were latch failures. So I don't know if it's this latch up here, or if they're talking about this lid not staying latched to the top of the pint. Either way, you can see how that would be a problem. In fact, this coming off would have been a much bigger problem, because if that happens while it's running, then you got a blade that can go flying out of the machine. And I don't know about you, but I'd probably go with that one, because if you see, I can just twist this on and off, and it doesn't really take a whole lot for this to come off of here. Granted, if you have this on and this is twisted into the machine, it seems like This is latched in here really good. I don't know that if maybe that was twisting off, it could push the rest of this off of here or something and force it, maybe breaking these clips or something like that. I have no idea about that, but I do know it was a problem. There were also reports of this blade here flying off of the spindle right here when it was connected to it. And that would mean the blade would go flying around all inside here, chipping up plastic and all kinds of other stuff.
That's a lot of damage.
So they had some problems with this thing, to say the very least. What Ninja ended up doing with these is that they recalled the entire line and they replaced everybody's machines with the 301 right here. In my personal opinion, I think that was a big failure. This is a much older design and I would have hoped that if they were going to have to replace your machine, that they would have replaced it at least with a Ninja Creami Deluxe like this or something like that. To me, this would have showed a lot more goodwill, especially seeing as how this is a more expensive machine than the other two. But that's not what they did. So really, as far as this machine goes, it's kind of going to be out of the running because you can't buy these new anymore because obviously they don't make them anymore. You can still get these on eBay or whatnot, but you're going to have to pay too much for them and they have some safety issues, so I would probably just steer clear of this thing altogether. With the Creami Swirl, I was really looking forward to this machine, but there are a few things that were a little bit weird on it. You can see that the base design down here is just like the Creami Deluxe, and that's a good thing. I was kind of hoping for something more advanced since this design now is 2 years old, but I guess if it works, they can do it. The real problem with this sort of lies in the picture. You've got the exact same lid, except the colors on it are a little bit different. It parks the blade up here the exact same way, and the picture design is almost the same. The only difference here is that you can see these pints are a little different now. This is because the machine supports soft serve. For the most part, how this works is if you're gonna make ice cream, this just goes in there, this goes in here, you close this up, and you make your ice cream and you're set exactly the same way you are with all the other models. But if you wanted to do soft serve, there'd be a second step. So you take this back out again, open this up, take this back out again, you take this top, twist that on, this thing would go up here, twist on like that, and then you'd have to open this up so you have access to this guy right here. Then you would just use this lever right here to dispense your ice cream. It's a lot of steps for ice cream and it can be a little bit clunky, but the results come out pretty nice and it's the only one of the machines that could do soft serve natively like that. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. All these machines have different programs to run, but the real difference between the machines is how long they run. There's not really a big speed difference between programs. For the most part, it's just running the blades longer and the paddle moving up and down more because there's more time for the paddle to move up and down more. So really, if there's something that you want to do with one of the machines that's got a button for it on one machine and not the other, then you can still get away with doing it by just running your machine a little bit longer or playing around with settings or doing some experimentation. Basic stuff like light ice cream or regular scoop ice cream, all the results from all four machines are almost exactly the same. So if that's your thing, it doesn't really matter what machine you get because they all do it just as well. The same goes for sorbets and gelatos because every single one of them has a preset for that. Milkshakes are the same way. So far, everything I mentioned is done by every single one of these machines. The 301 has a special setting for smoothie bowls, which I actually did use quite a few times. If you have the Deluxe or the Swirl, then you don't have an option button on the machine for the smoothie bowls. But I found that if you use the milkshake button, it works out really well. Albeit, it might be a tiny bit on the runny side when you use that. The main thing with the Deluxe is that it's got all these drink options. So this is really a great machine if you want to do Italian ice or frappuccinos or frozen daiquiris or something like that, because it does have special options for it and it will run longer. Also, the Deluxe is the only one with that 3-cup capacity, and it's also the only machine that gives you the option of processing the entire pint or just half. That all by itself makes the Deluxe a very powerful machine. This one's also made to be a little bit more durable than the 300 series machines as well. The Creami Swirl has a few extra buttons. It's got that Creami Fit button, but in my experience, I just think that that's kind of a wasted feature. I've been making protein ice creams for a long time and I always just use the light ice cream button. I found that the Creami Fit button processes that stuff a little bit too much and it makes it too runny. That's happened pretty consistently to me no matter what I've put in there. So I've just skipped that button altogether and just used the light one, and I've been perfectly happy with that. If you're looking at the soft serve programs, they're basically the same programs as the scoop versions of them, except they just run longer. And that's just so it can whip the pints up a little bit more and get a little bit more air into it. That way it makes some nice, light, fluffy soft serve. However, when you're making soft serve, some ingredients are going to work a lot better than others. The big problem with this machine is it's massive. I mean, if you're looking at this from far away, I can take this machine, push it into that, and those two things are about the same size now. I kind of feel like the implementation of the soft serve is maybe a little bit over-engineered, but I am really happy that they did add a nice new feature like that. However, one thing I was really hoping to see out of Ninja for this machine was the ability of this machine to freeze your ice cream on the fly for you. That didn't materialize, so hopefully it will on their next machine. Another problem with this is it's by far their most expensive Creami. And for most people, I would figure that price is going to play a pretty major role in your decision. Okay, so here's my recommendations on all these different machines. The Ninja Creami Breeze, run away as fast as you can. Don't buy this machine. Don't get it on eBay. There's too many safety concerns with it. I wouldn't risk it. The Ninja Creami 301 7-in-1 ice cream machine. You can actually get these really cheap right now. Sometimes you can find them for under $100. It just kind of depends on the retailer. I wouldn't buy a used one, but if you can find one in a box on eBay or Amazon or something like that, I would jump all over it. That being, if your thing is just ice cream, low sugar ice cream, gelato, and sorbet. If that's your jam, that's going to be your machine. It's going to be a really good deal for you. It's going to do a lot of stuff and you're not going to pay a lot of money. If you want something that's got a lot of different kinds of features and you want that 3-cup capacity, which is really the major selling point on this, you can't beat the Ninja Creami Deluxe. And for me personally, this is my favorite machine. It's got all these features. It's got a bunch of drinkable stuff, which is definitely different than your regular scoopable programs. And even if you don't want to eat 3 cups of ice cream all at one time, you have the ability just to process the top and leave the bottom alone. The best part is these go on sale all the time and you can probably find one for around $200 most of the time.
Are you serious?
The Ninja Creami Swirl? How much do you want soft serve ice cream? Because if you don't care about soft serve ice cream, this is not worth your money, unfortunately. I like this machine, but if I'm being completely honest with you, the only reason I bought this machine is because I run a YouTube channel and I need to make the content with it. I personally don't really care whether I'm having scoop or soft serve, and for the price of this, I don't think there's enough innovation. That's just my opinion though. It does have a lot of cool features, but it all depends on whether those are features you're going to use or not. $350 really is a lot of money for something like this. At the end of the day, you can see that your model preference is really going to depend on what features are most important to you. If all you want to do is make scoop ice cream, you're in a position where you can really save a lot of money. However, if you want more options, you definitely have some choices, and it really depends on how much money you want to spend. If you'd like a little bit more information about any of the Ninja Creami models that we talked about, I do have an Amazon affiliate link for them down in the description of the video. If you buy anything through those links, I do make a small commission, but it doesn't change the price that you pay 1 cent. Hey, Joe's Phenomenal now has channel memberships. For most people, you can see a join button down below the video window that you can click and see what type of perks I'm offering. If you're using an iOS device, you might not be able to see it, and if that's the case, I do have a link down in the description of the video as well. If you like this video and you're still on the fence about what machine to buy, I have a review right here for the Ninja Creami Swirl that might help you answer a couple of other questions. It's a pretty cool machine, and if soft serve is your thing, that might be just the ticket. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon, and until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.